Hey guys, welcome back to Wiiteen's Thoughts, where I analyze cartoons, live-action shows, and movies in a straightforward manner. No skits, nothing over the top, just me sitting down, speaking my opinions on an episode, a movie, or even an entire show. I know I originally told you guys that I was going after Riverdale first, along with a couple of animated shows. But for the moment at least, I'm not very interested in tackling it anymore. I'm just so tired of that show in general. So, until I do get the urge, I'll go after something different on the CW instead. The Arrowverse. Yeah, I know it's a bit weird for me to talk about a bunch of live-action shows, when I'm mostly known for reviewing bad cartoons. But hey, I'm trying to expand myself, and try some new things that you guys might enjoy. So, here goes nothing. In this particular video, I'm going to talk about Arrow Season 6, and unfortunately, I don't have a lot of good things to say about it. Now, I tried to binge watch the first 5 seasons of Arrow, and that was not an easy task, since the show has over 100 episodes of content, and each one is over 40 minutes long. But I was really invested in the first 2 seasons of Arrow. It was this deep, dark, action-packed show with the main protagonist that is similar to Bruce Wayne and Batman. I'm not going into full detail about the entire show's history, but I'll sum it up like this. The first 2 seasons were great, the third was a dud, the 4th season was outright terrible, then it got better in season 5, and now we get to here. So, what happened? Well, I'm gonna tell you. Also, by the way, there will be spoilers here, so I suggest you should at least check out the first 2 seasons before watching this. But if you don't care or watch it anyways, then whatever, it's your loss. So, this season picks up after the fallout of what happened at the end of season 5. The big bad Adrian Chase, or essentially Prometheus, blew up U with nearly every single main character except Oliver Queen on it. This was a pretty big cliffhanger and could have led to some major changes from when season 6 came around. You were wondering which characters would be killed off and which characters were going to stay. Then the season 6 premiere, it turns out other than William's mother, who isn't even the main character, no one else died or got affected by this at all. I mean, yeah, I know Diggle had this tremor on his arm for a couple episodes, and Thea got placed in a coma for a few episodes as well, but other than that, nothing changed. That alone was already a bad sign of how Arrow Season 6 was going to be like. The problem is that it was such a chore to watch all 23 episodes this season. The only reason I watched it was to catch up on every Arrowverse show. That's it. Now, this season does have some good elements in it, but that's very few and far between. Everything just seems more formulaic and generic, whether or not it comes down to the heroes, the villains, the conflicts, and especially the drama. Oh boy, the drama. Yep, that's the biggest problem for me. This show has a bad habit of stirring up conflict for absolutely no reason. You want some examples? I'll give them to you. In the mid-season finale, we have Team Arrow breaking up and split into 2 different teams. Original Team Arrow and not Team Arrow. Yeah, I know, those names kinda suck. Oh, and all of this started because Renee sold out Oliver by giving out information on him being the Green Arrow so he could save his daughter. And we also found out that Oliver, Diggle, and Felicity have been secretly spying on Dinah, Renee, and Curtis. This is the 3 of them splitting up, forming a new team, and constantly getting in Oliver's way. This got annoying real fast, and led to this big showdown that's trying to be like Captain America Civil War. Also, by the way, I don't like Captain America Civil War, but at least that movie managed to keep me entertained with some of the action and conflict that was brought up. Arrow couldn't even achieve that standard. And it ends with us barely seeing Dinah and Curtis for the rest of the season, and Renee gets put into the hospital until near the end of the season. That's just great. But that's not even the worst of it. The worst was when Diggle left the team too, but once again, no reason. I swear to God, Brothers in Arms is one of the worst episodes in the entire series. I was upset the whole time, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs due to how pissed off I was. To see all these developed characters turn into a bunch of brooding, cynical idiots and assholes. This fight started due to Diggle having the need to be the Green Arrow, but here's the thing. Diggle freaking sucks as a Green Arrow. He takes everything that makes the superhero special and taints it. Those little episodes near the start of the season where he was the Green Arrow were really boring to sit through. First off, he can't shoot a bow and arrow thanks to his tremor, so he uses a crossbow instead, which is nowhere near as unique. And also, there's an added fact he has to take some kind of drug he got from one of the main bad guys this season, most of them to be out in the field anyways. That makes him being the Green Arrow make less sense. And despite Oliver apologizing later on him for not being in that suit, Diggle all of a sudden gets pissed off by how Oliver leads the team and it leads into a fist fight. I'm dead serious. Instead of solving their problems like rational adults, they decide to yell and fight each other over a Green Arrow suit. Now, Civil War does have the same problem with the main characters picking fights with each other for no reason, but the bad acting and the destruction of Oliver and Diggle's characters makes this even worse. And speaking of bad characters, we get to Felicity Smoke. Oh man. Felicity is like this cancerous tumor that slowly kills the show the more she's on screen. I know a large amount of people out there remember how bad Season 4 of Arrow was, to the point where all the conflict and focus was dedicated to her, and to the point where people started calling Arrow Season 4 the Felicity Show. I'll get to Felicity in a minute. Now, Felicity wasn't really good to begin with, but during the first 2 seasons she didn't have that much screen time. That isn't the case for Season 3, and especially Season 4. She became much more annoying, her dialogue was so cringy, and she was only concerned about herself, and thinks everything revolves around her, and she can do no wrong. And the worst part about all this was Oliver and Felicity's relationship, and the Felicity fanshipping. It's the worst experience you'll ever see in your entire life. Despite these two having no chemistry, the writers repeatedly shoved the relationship drama in our faces and down our throats. It's truly sickening. And that's basically what Season 4 was all about. It even resulted in the death of the Black Canary, who you know is a very important part of the Green Arrow mythos in general. But hey, at least nothing can get away with Felicity, and that's pretty much all the writers cared about. Now, in Season 5, it seemed the writers took a hint that this new direction was not the way to go, and most of the drama from the previous season stopped completely. But then Season 6 came around, and in the mid-season finale, they got fucking married. So it looks like Felicity and the Felicity relationship is here to stay. Look, I'm not sure how a character with this much hatred towards her is still on the show to this day, but I still think the only way this could be fixed is to kill off Felicity in Season 7 and get rid of her as soon as possible. Now let's talk about the other characters that have no purpose in being here, starting with Quentin Lance. It seems like after Laurel's death, he doesn't have much to do on the show anymore. This applies to both Season 5 and Season 6. He does have this mini story arc with him being afraid of Black Siren because she looks and sounds so much like Laurel, and has to find some way to get over her death. He also did attempt to turn Black Siren into a good person like Laurel was, and took care of her, which can possibly lead to her redemption arc. This was interesting. But then we get to the finale, and we all knew Quentin was going to die, since before the finale, there was news that Paul Blackthorne, the voice actor for Quentin, was not returning for Season 7. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. Great. Now, Thea Queen, on the other hand, had no purpose being here at all, especially in Season 6. She was in a coma for several episodes, and when she came back, she wasn't given anything to do. She just stands there on the sidelines watching all the other characters in action. Well, at least until Roy comes back for 2 episodes, and guess what? We don't see him in his Arsenal suit once! I'm sorry, but Arsenal is much better than Speedy. You know, since Speedy came near the end of Season 3, they stuck around for all of Season 4. And that wasn't a good period for Arrow. Anyways, Roy and Thea stick around for 2 episodes, until they leave to go on some side quests together. The departure was so sudden and anticlimactic. Well, at least Roy will return as the main character for Season 7, but not Thea. I'm still wondering why she's still here in the first place. God, what else sucks about this show? Oh yeah, the villain. Now at first it seems this season was going towards a mix of previous established baddies like Black Simon and Vigilante, along with some new ones with Caden James as a head mastermind. Yeah, here's the thing about Caden James. He was pretty dull. He has no passion or energy in his performance at all, and I feel like one of the weakest villains this show ever had. But halfway through the season, we did get some pretty decent character development that could have improved his character somewhat. And then he got killed off in the same episode, and we got stuck with Ricardo Diaz for the rest of the season. He was better than Caden James, but he still sucked as a villain, and randomly making him the big bad with half of the season left didn't help. We've had much more compelling villains in the past, like Deathstroke and Prometheus, and even Malcolm Merlin. And no, writers, I don't want him to return again in Season 7 as the main villain again. We already got the most out of him already, and while the episode revolving around him seems interesting, is he really good enough to be a villain again for 23 more episodes? No. Just no. He does attempt to have a different goal than past villains, like instead of destroying Star City, he wants to take it over, and this resulted in Oliver not being mayor anymore. He even planned to out Oliver as Green Arrow so he could be in prison, and he could continue to roam free and expand his empire. Oliver, however, has a backup plan with a guy who can shapeshift into Tommy Merlin, and he can out himself as Green Arrow and take the fall, just like Roy Harper did in Season 3. Although there is an easy way to find out that that person isn't really Tommy through any sort of DNA testing. But it does work, and when Diaz's plan fails, he just decides to kill Oliver and every member of Team Arrow with his new police force and army. Yeah, we've never seen that before. Again, I don't really see any reason for him to come back in Season 7 at all. Now, I will admit this season does have a few episodes and concepts that aren't half bad on paper, but the execution falls so flat. It just seems like really bad fan service. The writers should have shoved as many elements from the comics as possible to appease comic book fans. But again, earlier seasons have done fan service like this better. In Season 6, it just feels so blatant and forced. So I really couldn't even enjoy that. Overall, Season 6 was just a bore, and it's not worth watching. The only reason I watched it was to catch up on every Arrowverse show. I know this show is staying some big changes again for Season 7, like Oliver officially out as a Green Arrow now, and being in prison, and introduces some new villains like the Longbow Hunters. But if it's handled the same way everything went down in Season 6, then I have a feeling I'm not going to like it. Out of all the Arrowverse shows, Arrow is the one I'm least interested in. And this is the show that started the Arrowverse in the first place. But it's not entirely this season's fault. You know, in a universe filled with metas, aliens, and different dimensions and worlds, the Green Arrow and Arrow as a whole feels less special and doesn't really stand out anymore. I do respect how far this show has come and how it continues to grow, but the show feels like it has run its course at this point. I still want Arrow to keep changing up things for next season, but honestly, I think Season 7 should be the last season. The show went past its prime, and it doesn't feel the same the minute Season 4 came around. 3 years ago. Right now, I'm more interested in other superhero shows on this network, like Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, and Supergirl, and even The Flash. Yes, I know Season 4 was kind of mediocre, but I'd rather rewatch those episodes than the episodes from Arrow Season 6. These are episodes I can only watch once and never watch them again. But I'll still tune into Season 7 to see what happens next, I guess. So those are my thoughts on Arrow Season 6. What do you guys think? Do you guys enjoy watching Arrow Season 6? Or were you as bored as I was watching it? Or do you just not care? Feel free to leave a comment below. Like and subscribe for more videos like this. That's all for now, and I'll see you guys later.